Good evening, and welcome to Golden Compass Tarot. I've got a request from a friend again, and this time he wanted me to consider this card specifically, the Hermit. It sounds like he's on his own journey of exploration. The Hermit card here shows us that figure clad in all gray, using a small lamp to light his way. So he's looking for his truth, and is unbothered by the noise around himself. And the question my friend wanted to know was about solitude. When is it healing, and when does it hide? Or I guess that means when it would be not beneficial, as in now we're stuck in a loop of isolation. So with that going forward, I will return the Hermit to the deck in here somewhere. But before we get to that reading, really quickly, I'll just give a bit of an explainer here, because there's a little bit going on here. And so we have 4 decks, and how this process works is the original tarot cards, they represent us in the middle. This is our moral equation. The earth cards are on either sides. From the earth we come, to the earth we return back to in the end. The crows are guides of wisdom. They fly above and they can objectively see the bigger picture and lead us to different or better circumstances. And we'll put 2 of those in the mix. One that leads us from where we were to where we're going. Where we were to where we are now. And the second one will lead us from where we are now to where we'd like to go. Finally, this small little deck here, this is the animal deck, and we'll draw 2 of those cards out, and one will be at the bottom, which is representative of the energy that's working against us, and one at the top, which will be the energy that we can consider to guide us out of our situation. So before we do that, since we're not doing this reading in person, and it's given the circumstances, I'll be flipping the cards. I think it's important then to consider reframing the intent and the ask. So to me and through me, to the cards present here, how can I recognize the balance of my journey from taking the quiet time of reflection to understanding when it's time to go back and find new insights to learn and to measure against the revelations I've already had or processed or discovered? How to best navigate that balance between the 2. So with that, let's see what the cards have to say about that. I'm just going to move some of these around here until I can get it set up. Okay, so we'll start off with the earth, from which we all came. So there's the first one. Now, the next thing is us, or our moral equation that we would desire to work through or find clarity on. And that one fell out, so we'll use this one as well. Since that one tried to get away from us, it's trying to attract some attention there, so we'll take that as a meaning and see how that one turns out. Here. And you'll have to excuse me as well if some cards come up and I have to reference my notes. There's quite a bit more going on here than I've been previously kind of playing around with. We'll have a really good idea. I might have to just check the clarity on the notes that I've got to make sure we have the best interpretation possible. And I apologize for that in advance because I'm pretty sure it's going to come up at least once, maybe a couple times. But hey, that's part of the journey too. Stopping and measuring things out and considering, and then asking how's this going to fit, and what can I gain to learn here, and maybe I'll forget it a little bit less next time if I have to get put on the spot and look it up. All right. So, let's see where our starting point is. Our starting point for understanding the balance between reflection and engagement. Comfort and health. All right, so that's a very big theme with that, and I think to that I will speak that we pay a lot of lip service to reflection and contemplation. We all understand that it is important, but how many of us actually take the time to slow our lives down? There's too many things to do, right? All this and all that. Well, sometimes slowing down gives us more clarity. So instead of continually trying to dance through in and around all the noise of daily life, maybe take a pause. And here you've got the small child cozying up to the dog by the fireplace. So go to a place where you feel safe, warm, loved. A place where you really can truly let your mind relax and your guard down a bit, and have the affordance to just let your thoughts roam around and be at peace with yourself, whatever that looks like for you. If it is just sitting in front of a fireplace, maybe reading a book, just something that requires dropping down the pace of life. Let's see what the next one says. Ten of Swords. So I'd say that connects pretty well with the previous one, Ten of Swords here. The man is impaled by 10 swords, which would suggest the death of the ego, the death of an identity. So what I would interpret that as is maybe there were some rigidly held beliefs that maybe need to be let go. And again, sitting here at the hearth, that it does say hearth. I apologize if I said health a while ago. It's I just looked at it quick there, the writing at the bottom. Coming back to the hearth, that makes more sense now. Being comfortable with who you are means that you don't have to defend whatever boundaries you think there might be. Ask yourself, why is that important? And is it really truly reflective of your character, or are there things here that are maybe being more harmful than good? And taking the time to sit and be with ourselves, especially in those circumstances, are some of the most challenging yet rewarding experiences, because it truly does force us to sit and look at the unsavory parts of ourselves. And then when we do recognize that, then there's a choice that needs to be made. Okay, now I really understand that this does not fulfill me. This does not serve me. Am I willing to let go of these thoughts, behaviors, and patterns that create this image now that I see that is not helpful? And if not, what steps am I willing to take to make those changes or adjustments? And again, some of those are only found whenever we're able to sit with ourselves. And so if you really have a lot of trouble sitting with yourself and you feel fidgety or uneasy, or it's like, okay, I'm bored, I would suggest sitting with yourself for a lot longer than until that feeling goes away. Because there's some avoidance there, and the body's trying to say, hey, I want to get moving, I need to get a distraction here because I don't want this to come up. But that is exactly what needs to be done. So let's continue, and let's see where the crow is going to take us next here now. Territory. Well, once again, that could present the challenge. So territory, it's obviously separated by a clear boundary of light. The crows are flying around in patterns, as in a posturing gesture, which would also be reflective of here. So just be mindful of that. If you find yourself getting very upset over things, especially with interactions with other people, or even things you just may see, as best as you can, stop, pause, and ask yourself, why is this important to me? Why do I feel the need to state my claim here or assert my boundary? What about this is so important that it conflicts with my character? Let's move to the next one. Four of Swords, suggesting that if this does happen, when emotions are high, logic becomes low. And it's always a balance of one or the other, because whenever we're really focused and we are invested in something, then there's not a lot of emotion in there. So what this suggests to me then is to take some more time to reflect, and just kind of to what I said as well here too, just consider these things, why is this so bothersome to me, and take the time to really dissect it. And it can be tricky because emotions are kind of almost sometimes seen as a boogeyman, where it just grips on and takes hold, but there is a little bit of a hack here we can use. Starts off by naming it. So, okay, what are you upset about? I'm upset because, or I'm frustrated because, or I'm angry because. So the first thing is to identify that emotion, what it is, and then why is it disruptive? And then the next question then necessarily that needs to follow is, what does this tell me about my character? So it's a very simple 3-step process. And I'm not saying for bigger things that's ideal, depending on the magnitude, but for a lot of things, it's at least a good triage. And even if the water is still muddy or shaken up to look at it, at least there's somewhere to kind of try and find a foothold, a measured approach to get a foothold. So let's see where the crow wants to take us next here. Caching. He's clearly hiding whatever he found in the ground. He doesn't need it right now, but he will need it later. So how I would connect that meaning is in these times of reflection. While an issue is a good thing to give a focus on, sometimes the journey to find the answer on that issue will also yield other discoveries from other avenues that we have to pull from. So in this case, if we're talking about balancing our cognitive bandwidth, for example, and you're trying to figure something out, well, we could end up down the paths of psychology. We could study some neuroscience or even behavioral science to try and figure out what this one thing is. But at the same time, while we're taking a measured approach to find that, there are other topics that are going to come up along that pursuit. And so what I would take away from this is that to put that knowledge in the bank for a later day, much the same as some of these tarot readings as well. It might not resonate right now, or it might not feel as aligned right now, but even later on down the road, a week, a month, there might be something in the pattern here, how it connects, that you can recognize, that you could use or fit in a different situation. So treasure the knowledge you find and put it away for safekeeping, because it may come in handy for whenever you need nourishment for something else. Oh yeah, I remember this. Maybe how does this fit here? That kind of thing. Okay, let's see where we're going here. And this is the one that got away. And this one is the Three of Swords, which in the connected sense here as well is mind over emotions. These swords are piercing through the heart, meaning we don't want to let that wander. We want to keep a grip of it, and we do that by having an equal balance of how we consider our information. So some rest and rest and relaxation. We can find some new things. Some new things again that may help us. This is the future card now. This is where we're going. So again, this is how I'd say these two connect very nicely here. Is in, when problems arise, maybe it's a little bit easier to get a hold on it. And some of that does come from the quiet reflection. And this is the hard work. This truly is the hard work in the beginning. I will say that. Finding a place to really tackle some of the tougher issues, and then resting and reflecting on it is the hard work, but it does pay off, because then as problems do arise, we have more options and we get stuck here less. This window now will become shorter because when we build our toolbox, we have more options to consider right off the bat. So this has been quite a journey so far. Let's see what the last Earth card says here now. Atoms, which is quite interesting. Atoms are the building blocks of life that all things are created from. So in that essence, having all this knowledge and being able to map out blueprints, now you can build yourself some very different types of solutions for whatever comes along. And again, take your time over here. This is very unsavory territory, but if you are willing to get comfortable here, then yes, this will lead to being able to build better outcomes, and right from the ground up too as well, from these positions that causes disruption. So quite interesting for sure. Now let's see what the energy is that's working against this. The oyster. Okay, I gotta take a look at the oyster here, because I haven't seen that one come up in quite a while, so you'll have to excuse me here while I very quickly reference my notes. Yeah, so it is kind of similar to like a clam in nature as well, how it's considered. And I mean, this does fit. Oysters clamming up, quite literally, is the very short meaning here that I think connects with this well. There's water. The water element is present here as well, so clamming up with emotions. There's a lot of darkness around there as well, so it's almost like, yeah, we really are closing each other off, which is very interesting that you did pick the Hermit card, my friend, because this very much is the moral question that is working against you in what you're looking to get clarity on as well. So yeah, the inner retreat of emotions. So that being said, though, we do have a fairly good workable plan right now to deal with this thing right now. So let's take a look and see which creature then is going to lead us out of this. The unicorn. The unicorn is from the spirit realm. And let's see what that one had written about that one here now. Made some notes on it. Where are you at? There we are. Yeah, so unicorn is from the spirit realm. That's above the elements. It's the highest of the elemental considerations for all these spirit animals. So the future is bright for you, my friend. I'm just taking a quick look here. Yeah, so it's a lot about connecting to higher wisdom or divinity. Being creative. The horn also could represent that whole third eye thing. It's there. It's pronounced for a reason. We've got the moon in the background as well. So if we really consider how the unicorn fits then with the rest of the pyramid here, in the beginning, there is a lot of there is conflict here. There's the need for a spot to work the conflict out. And once we work the conflict out, our brain can then in a more relaxed mode kind of unpack, consider things, Keep the things that you find that aren't relative immediately, keep them in the bank for a later day, because they will help with the challenges as they arise, which will enable you to then avoid the oyster, because now as a situation presents itself, you have a much more varied toolbox, and you can consider your information and say, okay, this is what I'm feeling, this is where I'd like to be, so what needs to happen in the middle here as well. And now you'll have more tools to be able to find that answer out. And in that process, as we look at the rest of the imagery here as well, there's also intuition as represented by the moon in the darkness, which very powerfully connects to a lot of this stuff as well. So at that point, that's a guided intuition, which does jive very nicely with the atoms and the building blocks, because now being able to reflect and work through this, we'll be able to find more of the true essence of your character on the proper side of finding your own inner light. And whenever we find our own inner light, we can then creatively build our own path to things that align more with us. And so, my friend, that concludes our story, and I hope you found this helpful. I definitely had a lot of fun putting this together and working through this little journey for you, and I'm glad that I was able to find an answer that I think may very well be helpful or beneficial for you. So thank you again for watching, and if you caught this video as well in another play as well, and you did like this, you could also reach out to me and we can follow the same example. I do quite enjoy these, and I find this is a very fulfilling way to connect with others and to be able to kind of share a journey in spirit. So if that's you, feel free to reach out and throw something my way, and we'll see what kind of a little journey we can go on together. Thank you for watching.